So hello everyone and welcome to this special Christmas bonus edition of the Deercast. Welcome. We hope you've had a lovely Christmas. We're planning on releasing this between the Christmas and New Year period so that all you lovely people sitting at home bored have got something to listen to.
Or make you even more bored, whichever way you look at it. And we have got a surprise, which we'll reveal later.
A special surprise,
yeah.
but it's probably already in the heading of this podcast, so
you've probably figured it out.
You've probably already figured it out, but we'll leave you in suspense for the time being.
So I think for this episode, we thought we'd do a little summary of what we've been up to for the year, what we're thinking about doing next year, a question to you guys as to what you might want from us next year. So please drop us a comment or a message on whatever platform you're listening to this on. And then we're going to go on and cover some of our worst and best bits of kit from the year.
And I think maybe best sort of moments.
Yeah, I think so.
A bit of a sort of roundup of the whole year.
Yeah. So what has been your favourite moment, Harry? Go on.
Oh, my favourite moment by a long way.
Yeah.
And I actually said this in a work meeting the other day when the people were like, what was the and you know when people go around and they're like, oh, what's been your work and your personal highlight of the year, and everyone was like, oh, the birth of my child or something like that, and mine was getting some new stalking permission that I've been absolutely gasping for years, which was a piece of woodland that's next to my main bit of stalking ground that you may have seen in some of our videos, which is a lovely big bit of ancient beech woodland.
I think that's the one in our double fallow pricket outing video, isn't it? I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it feature in the? No, it doesn't feature in the kit plough.
I think it does at the end.
At the end,
yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
Because we have another deer in there, don't we? So yeah, there's basically a bit of woodland that's adjacent to the main bit of stalking ground that I've got. That's mainly arable, and this bit of ground is about 200 acres of woodland. Really beautiful ground. Always wanted to get in there, but the landowner has been, up until this point, not willing to let anyone in there, and for whatever reason has recently decided that they are. So we've been in there basically since the start of the fallow doe season. We actually the first time we went in there was during the rut, which was absolutely amazing because there are 3 rutting stands in this bit of woodland and none on the bit of ground that I normally stalk on. And just getting in there and being able to pick off sort of prickets and all of that sort of thing, it was unbelievable, very exciting.
So what do you think made that landowner change their mind? Do you think that's like symptomatic of the world in that more people are understanding why deer management is necessary, or do you think you just annoyed them so much that eventually they just gave in?
I think with this particular person, either I caught them, I've never met this person, I've only ever corresponded with them over email.
Yeah.
And I think it was a mixture of catching them on the right day and just perseverance. Because I literally, every single month, I just send this person an email saying, basically, have you changed your mind? And like, here's a new reason why you need to let me get in there and kill them. And for whatever reason, they were happy. I didn't ask too many more questions and just, got on with it. But I think, in general, there seems to be it seems to be a positive trend in the sort of opinion of people generally towards deer management, like landowners, farmers, just like sort of general people, that deer stalking is a positive thing, and I think that's changing for the positive. Are you feeling that?
I think so. I think more people are beginning to understand it, and it's less, oh, poor old Bambi. It's, well, actually, maybe we need to do this for the health of the woodland and biodiversity and all the rest of it. So I think it's happening, but I can never tell if that's because I'm so close to it that I feel like I can see it happening much quicker.
That's it, isn't it? We're a bit biased. Although I do know a couple of people who are vegetarians and vegans who don't allow things like pheasant shooting over their land, but they will happily allow deer stalking because it's management rather than pleasure. How about yours, Tom? Favourite moment?
My favourite moment of the year was watching you lose your fucking shit when your Bagara BA13 just we could not zero it, and basically we discovered that the scope mounts...
That was going to be my worst moment.
Have I just stolen that? It was, honestly, shows how much of a bad friend I am, but it was honestly, I think probably my favourite moment of the year. I've never laughed so hard. And judging by the number of views that video got, other people enjoyed that as well.
And if you haven't already watched that, please go back and it's on our YouTube channel. Probably the most viewed one, me just swearing.
Yeah.
And being very rude. But we got there in the end.
Yeah.
And it's all been sorted out.
So if I've just stolen your worst moment, what's your second worst moment? If it's not that.
I did drop a rifle.
Oh yeah, you did.
I dropped
Was
a
it the
rifle this
Bagara?
year. Yeah, I think it was the Bagara. Yeah, I dropped it, but it was fine. But you know, that sinking feeling. And it was just when I got it and tried to put some sling studs in, and just for whatever reason they didn't sort of seat properly, and yeah, just fell off my shoulder and my whole world disappeared for a moment. But it was fun. Very hardy rifles, well made Bagara.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with that rifle, I've got to admit.
I was out with it today. It's great. Yeah. It's a brilliant woodland stalking rifle, I will say, and it's very handy. It's the shortest rifle by a long way that I've ever used or had, and just the way you can just flick it up. It's got that lovely thumb hole stock. It's got the exposed hammer, which I'm really coming around to. I think it's quite fun, and actually, it's not as slow as I thought I would be with it, because I've got a little bullet holder on the side, so I've got easy access to bullets, and yeah, I'm quite quick with it now, I think.
And you were saying, because we were discussing this the other day, I find with my kit plough, I can't believe, and also I just like this on record again, I wasn't the first one to bring up kit ploughs on this episode. I find with mine, I feel recoil less than compared to my other rifle, even though I shoot exactly the same ammunition. And we were talking about this the other day, and you think you feel the recoil less with your Bagara, but that's because it's a thumb hole. And so therefore you're kind of...
Yeah, I think like with a normal... What's a normal sort of grip called? It's like a sweeping... Like a traditional... You know what I mean?
You're asking a technical question and I'm already one beer deep.
People listening in the gun trade probably like commenting away now. Like a normal sweeping grip, you don't really have that much of a hold of a rifle, do you? I mean, you're sort of gently holding it. But if you've got a thumb hole stock, you've got the whole palm of your hand just literally right behind the stock, and I think that absorbs a lot of the recoil. I mean, also my kit plough is quite heavy.
Yeah.
I shoot it with a moderator, that helps, and I'm shooting 130 grain throw weight, so not particularly heavy stuff. But I mean, it does recoil more than my other rifle, but that's a very heavy rifle. So sort of makes sense. But yours recoils, but it recoils very smoothly, I think.
Yeah, and having like videoed it looks a lot more dramatic in video footage than it actually feels.
Yeah.
In terms of because we did a bit videoing in the summer, didn't we? Talking about head shooting, and I used my kit plough for that video. And you see like the muzzle flips like a lot, and it looks quite dramatic on footage. But actually, when you're behind it, you don't really feel or notice that.
No. It comes back in a very predictable, nice way. It's a bit like if you ever shoot a really cheap shotgun.
Yeah.
It's just not a nice experience.
No.
But then you go and shoot even like a Beretta or something like a standard Beretta, and it's just same cartridges, same amount of recoil, but just manages it in a different way.
Yeah.
Minute differences, but the sort of thing you notice over a long period of time.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, that's probably one of the worst. Other bad moments. I'd say I've been fairly lucky this year. It's been a pretty good year. How about you?
My worst moment, and this is going to be controversial, was I did quite a lot of practice over the summer, and I decided, come the 1st of August, I was just going to head shoot everything, and rather than body shoot anything this season. And basically the first few weeks of August were a fucking nightmare in that, I'll be honest, it did not go to plan the first few times. And mainly because I was using the Viperflex 5th leg, and I just couldn't get on with it. And I'm not going to spoil...
You normally use the Viperflex 5th leg though.
Well, I've changed...
You've been quite used to it.
I've changed this year, and I'm not going to spoil that because what I've changed it to is probably my bit of kit of the year, which I'll come on to later. But so the first couple of weeks of August were...
Oh yes, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Were terrible, and I went to see Mr. Paul Hill at Corinium Rifle Range, and he put it back on the straight and narrow and restored faith in my shooting capabilities. And I'm pleased to say that since then I've had no issues.
Very good. Yeah. Well, he is a very gives some very sage advice.
He is.
He's a very sensible man.
he's quite annoying in some ways in that he's seen it all before. So when you go to him and you're like, "Oh, I've got this problem," he's like, "Oh yeah." And I wouldn't say he's smug with it at all, but like he's just like, "Oh yeah, here's the fix, bang bang bang," and it's almost like so easy to him that you're just like, "Fuck's sake, why is it so obvious to him?"
But I guess any of the problems that me or you face are probably ones that he's seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not going to be like
no,
that unusual. Like shooting off sticks is what 90% of people do now.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think I should maybe go for some stick training with him because it sounds like he's a real master of it. But he's got a slightly different approach to it than a lot of people, doesn't he? Because you stand front on to them, don't you?
No, more side on.
Oh, you stand more side on. That's
Whereas Tom Rice, who's a PRS shooter, and we've recorded an episode with, but it won't have come out yet. He was saying, from a PRS point of view, he stands completely like front on, as I can't remember what the word is, as sort of like equal to the sticks as possible.
Yeah.
So that when the recoil of the rifle comes back, it's coming directly back. Whereas in his mind, if you're standing angled, then the rifle will recoil in an angled way.
Yeah.
So like horses for courses, and I guess to be fair for like PRS, you're talking about extreme accuracy at longer distances. Whereas for deer stalking, I mean, I don't shoot anything beyond sort of 170 meters really.
No.
And I'm only trying to hit, even if it's a head on a fallow, sort of a 2-3 inch target. So we're not talking about like millimeter precision.
No, no, definitely.
But yeah, and
No,
I'd say
that'd be worthwhile.
When we've done Bobby's bits with most of our guests, sticks and particularly Viperflex sticks have been the thing that have come up.
Yep.
If
we did a chart, that would be by far and away the biggest.
Maybe we ought to do a chart.
Yeah, we could do a chart. You love a chart.
I love a chart.
Tom loves
have a little poll.
He loves Excel.
I do love Excel. It's basically my day job. But I mean, we were talking earlier about our guests that we've had on this year, and I'm going to have to remind myself looking at the list. But I think we've been incredibly lucky with who we've had on.
We have. We've had 11 podcasts, but not including the stalking show ones because that was a bit of an anomaly.
Or the shooting show.
So
we've had Peter Jones.
Yeah.
Paul Hill.
Yes.
We then had the shooting show, and we then had the stalking show. And we had various different guests on there. Then we had Carl from GMK. Then we had Curtis Pitts, the man my wife fancies. Mike Robinson, Ed from Edinburgh Rifles, Jonathan Fisher, Mark Lauritsen from Sealand and Harkeela, and then, funnily enough, the day we're recording this, Warren Broad from Deerbox. And I think we had Mike Robinson in there as well somewhere, didn't we?
You said Mike Robinson.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a pretty star-studded lineup. We've been very, very, very fortunate this year.
Yeah.
And have we actually done any podcasts with just me and you?
I'm looking at the list. Yes, we did.
Oh, we did. Okay, fine.
And I suppose that's one of my questions to the listeners is what have you guys preferred? In that, have you preferred the podcast where it's just Harry and I, or do you quite enjoy the ones where we have a guest? And if so, which kind of guest? Or do you want a bit of a mix of the two? Like for 2025, let us know. We're kind of in your hands. I think. Yeah. Our plan had been to do perhaps a few less guests in 2025 than we have done this year. Yeah,
and there's a few reasons for that. A, we're slightly running out of people, and B, it can be quite formulaic, I think, when you're asking the same questions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say that we couldn't have somebody on and focus on a topic of conversation rather than talk about them per se. I quite like the idea of having a few more of the people we've already had on, but also sort of just covering something topical.
Yeah.
Or just doing that with me and you. It's a sort of bit of an open question. So please do write in with your suggestions.
Yeah, in fairness, it is also quite hard work with the guest, isn't it? In that, A, you've got to get in touch with them. B, then find like a date the three of us can do. Then like send them all the info and the bump and the bits and pieces, pin them down to a date, then all the stars have got to align and everyone's actually still got to be available on that date. Yep. Internet's got to work. Like,
audio quality's got to be passable. That is quite a challenge sometimes.
Yeah. We have ordered a mic, haven't we, to send to our guests?
Yes, we have. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
But we are investing in the audio quality for you all.
Yeah.
Hopefully improve your experience. But yeah, I feel like it's been a pretty packed year actually.
It has.
And also, I'd be interested to hear if you think the frequency of our podcast is enough, too much.
I feel like you're opening us up there, Harry, because everyone's. Well, I don't know. Actually, that sounds very arrogant. I was going to say.
Well, you think everyone's going to go? We want more.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we.
But actually, everyone might be like, "Please post less." You both.
We might
are
struggle
really
to
boring.
do more.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
So forget that. Forget that question.
And I suppose equally, like on our YouTube videos, because we try and do both, don't we? In terms of we do both podcasts, but also we do the YouTube videos. Is what do you guys want to see? I think looking at the stats, people enjoy the hunting footage more than they do the kind of gear reviews and the, I don't know, like discussion or technical stuff.
Yeah.
We're looking at the stats, but yeah.
And again, we're investing in that side of things. We've just got a drone.
Yeah.
For filming. We are investing in, at some point, hopefully in the next couple of months, a day-night scope that can record a video from the scope. Because we've tried things like the aim, what's it called? The aim cam? No, the scope cam? Trigger cam. Trigger cam. That's it. Sorry, a complete mind blank there. We tried the trigger cam and we had mixed results because actually in low light it's not brilliant. Sorry, trigger cam.
Yeah, the concept is brilliant, but I think there were two problems with it. One, it decreased the amount of eye relief you had. So there was one time where I basically smashed myself in the face with it when the rifle recoiled. And the second one is like you say, just even if you were looking at something in broad daylight, it was about 10 times darker in the scope.
Yeah.
And so at dusk or dawn, which is mostly when we're shooting our deer, you could see through the scope. But even then, the quality was worse. But then when you look back on the footage, you were just looking at like a black screen.
Yeah, which is
it was not great.
No, and I'm hoping to get a day-night scope in the next couple of months that will record video, which will be good to splice into hunting content.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have a big whacking great thing you put on the ocular that then smacks you in the face. So, yeah, we're investing in that side of things.
And we were talking about day-night scopes the other day, weren't we? Because I sort of wonder if that's the direction the industry's going. Because, when I won't name names, if you buy like a premium scope these days, you're probably looking at $2,000 for like a top-end scope.
Yep.
And obviously you can see in daylight and dawn and dusk, but beyond that, not really. But there are some day-night scopes out there for less than £1,000, which you can then use in that window where it's an hour before sunrise or an hour after sunrise, when you can still legally shoot deer, but you wouldn't be able to see them in a normal scope, but you can in a day-night scope.
Yep.
And we were discussing this, weren't we, whether more and more people are going to go, actually, sod the £2,000 high-end optic, I'm going to go for a £800 day-night scope.
Because even if, you think how many times would you be sat in a high seat at last light and think, I really, if I'd had 25 or 30 minutes more light, I could have shot that deer. You could be sitting there with the best scope in the world from a sort of light transmission perspective, and you wouldn't have a hope in hell. But with a day-night scope, that suddenly is sort of unlocked for you. You've obviously got to be careful about what's legal in terms of night shooting and day shooting. I think that will be something that becomes more of an issue. But like I say, £800, you can get a pretty decent day-night scope that has a rangefinder in it, that does all the zooming and all sorts of trick sort of things. Yeah. Probably won't last as long as your Swarovski scope or a Schmidt-Bender or whatever. But actually, as a tool and something that can be there to help you cull deer, is immensely powerful there. Yeah.
The only thing, and I'll be really keen to see this, because we've never actually tested a day-night scope, have we? But we have tested some electronic optical equipment. I won't say any more than that, because otherwise it'll allude to what it was, and it wasn't particularly good. And the issue I found with it was the clarity.
Yeah.
In terms of you could see a deer and be like, well, it's definitely a deer, it's definitely a roebuck, but you couldn't see whether it was a 2, 4, 6 pointer, for example. Whereas then when you actually got a conventional set of really good binoculars or scope out, you could be like, oh right, that's definitely a 4-pointer, I'll have that.
Yeah.
So I'll be really interested to see if the day-night scopes have that sort of limitation, or whether actually they're miles better than the stuff we've tested so far.
Well, I think it's never going to be as good as
Yeah.
as an optical scope, is it? I mean, because it's a camera that then records something and
Yeah.
shows it to you on a screen. But you'll get as close as you possibly can. But I think it's something you get used to, isn't it, with time? Really,
Yeah.
just get used to looking at a screen rather than
Well,
the actual thing through a
and
lens.
I guess to be fair, because we're mainly really talking about fallow deer, aren't we?
Yeah.
And for us, like, unless it's a stonking great big buck, we don't really care about the quality of the headgear,
No.
really.
No.
So actually, as long as you can tell it's a fallow and you can tell whether it's a doe or a pricket or a sorrel or whatever,
Yeah.
down it goes.
I didn't mind too much about the quality of the image as long as it's just not blurry. I really hate blurry imagery. That's a real pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
It should be the sort of bare minimum type of thing. So yeah, that hopefully is on the cards for the next couple of months. But we'll see. I went to see Rupert Blackwell at RJ Blackwell, and he's basically converted me by showing me some of his toys. So we'll have to get some kit in and see.
So before we get on to kit, this has just suddenly come to me. I was going to ask you what you think our most popular YouTube video has been.
Oh, good.
B, also,
okay. Yeah.
what you think our most popular podcast has been. And I've got the stats here on my phone.
Interesting. Okay, I'll do podcast first. I'm going to say Mike, because I think he's probably the biggest celeb.
Okay.
That might be wrong though. I think like Curtis might have pipped into the race there.
Paul Hill smashed it out.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely stormed
and
away.
Paul's episode, by the way, is, if I was going to say my favourite episode of the year, that would be it.
Yeah.
And I actually listened back to that quite a few times.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of this year, because some of the his view on copper ammunition is just incredible and really interesting. So urge anyone who hasn't gone listen to that to go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paul Hill, by what are the numbers? What are the scores on the doors?
So he is 25% more popular than the next.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, Paul.
Just for this year.
Happy Christmas, Paul.
Our most
There you
popular in total, since we ever started. Who do you think that is?
Sam Thompson.
Bang on. Yeah.
I remember this.
Yeah.
It's not really fair because I've seen the figures.
Oh, for God's sake, no. And what about our most popular YouTube video of this year?
Kit Plough Club?
No.
I don't know.
It is disastrous first outing for the
God,
Bagara BA13.
Of course.
With 15,000 views.
15,000 views?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And our most popular video of all time is a review of the Leupold VX3
yes,
scope.
That's right, isn't
with
it?
26,000 views.
There we go. We need to do some more American gear.
Yes, because our second most popular video, I will stop in a minute, is a review of the Leupold VX6 scope.
There's
clearly
where does the Bagara review come in? Because I know that's not an American brand, but it is quite heavily used. Although they use the 14 in America a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
Not the 13.
So the video that we titled "Have We Fixed the Bagara BA13?" I'd say is sort of in the top 20 with 6.7 thousand views.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's pretty good go.
And then not far behind is I think one of my favourite videos that we did, which was a Kit Plough Club fallow outing.
That was good fun. We need to do that again.
Yeah.
That was really good fun. And we both got a deer, didn't we, with our Kit Ploughs?
Yeah.
Did you got 2, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes, I was very
two,
selfish, yeah.
3.
Yeah, whilst my dog was giving you the runaround.
Oh god, yeah. I basically
throttled
I was worried about that video coming out, so I was like, "Oh, the RSPCA going to come and investigate me." So I was like, "Shut up,
be quiet, dog." Yeah.
Rue gets very excited now, which is Tom's dog, if anyone didn't know. When we go stalking, and if Tom gets the rifle up on the sticks,
loses her mind.
Literally loses her shit.
Yeah.
She'll be shaking like a leaf. And it's not the sort of time that you want a load of noise to be happening. No. So I was like,
sometimes it is vaguely useful because she'll start to make a noise and the fallow will then turn and head up, look at you, and you're sort of like, brilliant, thank you for giving me a face on target, good night. And then other times, if they're a bit skittish and they sort of think you're there and then she starts going, that's it, that's all they need to disappear.
They're off.
And then I feel like throttling her, but yeah.
Good old Rue. And what would be your favourite podcast of the year? I was going to ask you that question.
Ooh.
I'm not going to ask you least favourite, but I'm going to ask you favourite.
So this might be a bit of a cheat, but I really enjoyed some of the episodes we recorded at the Stalking Show. Partly because there was just that much like atmosphere, and there is also something quite nice about recording it in person with your guest.
Absolutely.
Like you can actually kind of see the whites of their eyes, whereas as you can probably tell, most of ours are recorded over Teams virtually, due to the nature of the fact everyone's got full-time jobs and we can't really go travelling around to interview everyone. And I think, I don't know, Owen and his son were really good.
Yes,
they were really good
they
sport.
were great.
And a big shout out to them, because actually when we finished recording with them at the Stalking Show, they then dragged in Mark Zabrowski and a couple of other people. They basically sort of were like our, I don't know
The
how...
silverback of the industry.
Yes, that was it. There we go. Yeah. So thank you, Owen and Dan. I massively appreciate it. Yeah.
That's
so I
very
think,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Okay, I'll give you mine, and then I'll lead into. I actually thought Curtis Pitts was really good.
Yeah.
I didn't really know much about Curtis before we got onto the podcast with him.
Yeah.
But he's incredibly impressive and interesting chap, and has a really amazing business. And I was really amazed at how he's managed to grow the business. Since he hasn't been running it for very long. So I really enjoyed that one. Warren's was excellent. I really enjoyed Mike's one. They were all really good, and the Stalking Show ones were also brilliant. Especially because we were up in our Divana high seat.
Yes.
Which probably leads us on to the next
Go on.
segment that we need to announce, that we are going to be at the Stalking Show 2025. No,
I was going to do a drum roll, but it's going to upset the microphone.
That.
Yeah.
But we will be on the Divana / Tom's Targets stand.
Yeah.
They are very graciously again donating us, I think, either a low seat or a high seat.
Yeah.
High box. Not sure.
I think it's a box,
exactly,
but not as tall as last year. So it'll be slightly less precarious to get into, especially when hungover on the second day.
And you'll probably be able to heckle us,
Yeah.
a bit easier, and see in on the action a bit more. But the fabulous guys who we get on very well with at Divana very kindly allowed us to come and join them this year. So we're not going to have our own stand, but I think it is going to be better this way because we will be more accessible, and we'll be right there.
Yeah. So, final bit before we move on to our big reveal and some kit. How has the doe season been, fallow season been for you? Because I don't think we've recorded an episode since it began.
No, we haven't actually.
No.
Well, certainly not where we've discussed it.
Yeah.
I think Warren's one and just about started maybe. Anyway, how's it been? It's been good. Yeah, I think I've shot more deer this year than I ever have.
Yeah.
According to my records, which is good. It's been a bit of a slog.
In what way?
Well, carcasses has been challenging. I think that's a sort of industry-wide problem.
In terms of getting rid of them, or?
Well, just having the quantity to actually necessitate or justify taking them to a game dealer. You can't really take 2 deer to a game dealer. It's just not, for us anyway. No. It's not worth it. It's not worth the drive or the aggro. So there's a lot of early start skinning and delivering, which is new, but slightly irritating because you think that could be time I could be out stalking. But there we go. But yeah, all in all, pretty good. Pretty wet. As I'm sure most people would have found. But yeah, it's been good actually. How was yours, Tom?
Harder than last year.
Yeah, I thought you might say
that. Firstly, fallow more scarce than last year, I would say. And then secondly, I did do a little bit of checking before recording this. Carcass weight's down.
Really?
Big time.
Really?
So my average so far on the days has been 25, 26 kilos. Which makes quite a big difference when you compound it over like a number of deer over the course of a season, and sure. £2 a kilo.
Yeah, absolutely. 26 kilos for a mature doe.
For a mature doe.
That's really bad. Wow.
And I to be honest, I don't know why or what that is. And they're coming off the same bit of ground as last year. And last year, carcass weights, the average, I had a bit of a check earlier, were like 28, 29. So it's like there's a good couple of kilos difference in
Didn't have
that.
a particularly hard winter.
No.
And the summer was probably for deer quite good because it was quite wet, wasn't it? Interesting.
The scarcity bit, I know from talking to some of the other stalkers around here, they're finding the same.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I mean, we're talking about quite a localised area.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have pushed quite a number further west.
Well, I think we're in the very, very specific place that we do most of our stalking. I think there has been more of a concerted effort in the last 2 years, 3 years, certainly, to really try and amp up stalking and stalking across a larger area of the land here. And I think you're right. I think it has pushed them elsewhere. We have the M40 to our north. We've actually, in the room where we're recording this podcast, we've got a massive map, which is
really
quite
cool,
useful.
actually.
So on the northern boundary, we're quite helpfully bounded in by the M40, but there's nothing to stop them running elsewhere. So that might be it. Maybe they've just found safe haven elsewhere.
Yeah.
Or places where people possibly aren't doing much deer management, which is a problem we see a lot.
Yeah. Big time.
So,
Or not doing it during the bulk of the fallow season, in that they start once the bird shooting season has stopped.
yeah.
I think there are a few places, without naming names, that are concentrating on birds for now.
Yeah.
And then when that finishes, they'll move on to the deer, and we might see them move around a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we will. The end of the shooting season, for me, normally I see a lot of change going on. Which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. So it's all changed. We're lucky to be within the AONB where we are, and we've actually, our AONB as a sort of organisation are very proactive on deer management. I think we've talked about it a bit before in the podcast, but that has been quite instrumental in sort of ramping up deer management in the area. So they've been quite a helpful organisation. Well, sounds like it's time to introduce our special guest for this episode.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to Bobby's Bits. And who better to do Bobby's Bits with than Bobby himself? Bobby,
welcome.
My brother, introduce yourself.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the podcast here, guys. And normally when you're out recording, I'm actually out shooting, so that's why I haven't been on so far. But no, happy to be here. With both of you.
Such a load of bollocks.
I'm glad you said it. Yeah, welcome, Bobby. Welcome.
Well, I didn't know before you started the podcast that Bobby's Bits was going to be a sort of section of it until I think my dad told me about it, and I listened to the first podcast and it sort of came up as Bobby's Bits. So and it seems to have stuck since then. But
how do you feel about Bobby's Bits?
Well, I think I like how you explain it to each guest. So
every single guest.
Yeah,
no matter how avid a listener they are.
Yeah.
Always gets an explanation.
And I think we probably explain it slightly differently each time as well, don't we?
You normally explain it, to be fair.
Do I?
Yeah.
I feel like we've got to the point where we can just stop explaining it now.
I think we should stop explaining it.
Yeah. And that way, if someone comes across it and they're like, what the hell is Bobby's Bits?
Yeah. When we first started doing it, I thought maybe we'll change the name or something, but it's just sort of stuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even people in your office now know about Bobby's Bits.
Yeah, everyone knows about Bobby's Bits, so I think it has to stick now.
Didn't you meet someone, Bobby? And you said, "Oh, I'm Bobby from Bobby's Bits," and they were like, "Oh, I know who you are."
Yeah.
So we have elevated you to fame.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Everyone knows about your bits.
Everyone knows about my bits, but yeah.
So Bobby, tell us about your bits.
Well, I as everyone probably knows, I started sort of collecting my bits in my gap year between school and university, where I had a lot of spare cash and not having to spend a lot of it. So I decided to buy quite a lot of kit, and then Harry decides to normally steal it. So when I get back from to my rifle to go out stalking, normally half of the kit is off my rifle, and Harry's got it at his house, which means I have to ring him or go down and grab it because I can't go out stalking with half of the kit.
I just know how to use it better. It gets much more use from me.
In Harry's defence, when I went out stalking with him, was it last weekend?
Yeah.
Harry went to find his quad sticks, his beloved Balaza quad sticks, and someone else had them.
Well,
That's right. That is right.
I
Thank
think
you.
it works both ways. There's an independent witness here. I feel like there's a two-way street.
well, yeah. More recently, the table has started to turn, with sometimes bits turning up in my room, which is always sort of welcome. And I have had a few sort of freebies from the podcast, so I think that's it always helps. But when it first started off, it was Harry definitely stealing all my new bits of gear,
All
which
your
was very
bits.
sad because sometimes some of them I'd never even used myself, and Harry would take them straight out.
You're going to test these things, haven't you? You
Right.
want to make sure they're all right.
My favourite was one of your knives, which I can't remember. Was it a flint and flame knife?
Yeah.
You may not even know this actually,
Oh.
but basically we were out stalking once, and Harry was my knife was, I think I was using a Mora at the time, and it was blunt. And Harry was like, "Oh, don't worry, use this. It's Bobby's and it's brand new." And it was literally like razor sharp.
My brand new flint and flame.
And we posted a
Still
picture
in the sheet.
on Instagram of it, and you commented on the post being like, "I've got one of those," and I was like, "Shit."
Yes, I do remember that. And you said you had one. You said it was yours, I think.
Yeah, I think I lied
Yeah.
and was like, "Oh god, I don't want to get Harry in trouble over
Well,
this."
It was a very good graniking knife, that actually.
It was,
Have
yeah.
you still got that?
I have. I use it for sort of like the butchery side. But yeah, in Flint and Flame want to sort of sponsor in any knives. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's always fine.
Send them your way.
Provide a spare one so Bobby doesn't have to
Yes.
loan it to us.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask Jose about that, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I first got it from one of his talks at the game fair, and I saw it there, and then I bought one afterwards.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah, they have a
ever
stand there,
since-
don't they?
Yeah.
Mm.
And at the
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
So I'm desperate to know, Bobby, what is on Bobby's bits list for you?
What's on my list?
I'd say, and we normally ask our guests, and I can't remember if this is how we started. What's the one bit of kit you couldn't do without? But also, what's the one bit of kit you're hankering after?
That's it.
So from Bobby himself, what is the bit of kit you can do without? And you're not allowed to say a gun. And what is the bit of kit is on Santa's list?
Oh, well, the bit of kit I can't do without probably is my Kuiu Bino harness and binos,
Ooh.
which I've had for about a year now, and yeah, they're really good, really comfy, work in all situations. My Swarovski binoculars, a pretty good bit of kit. They they work in all light, and well, not all light, but that's probably my best bit of kit, and it works every time.
Have you got all the pouches that kind of clip on the sides?
I've got
and the
one
underneath
extra
and-
pouch,
yeah.
but I think I want another pouch for the thermal,
Oh, yeah.
because
yeah, you need one of those.
I have dropped it a few times.
Oh,
I mean,
now
it's
you
not-
tell me.
Is it your thermal?
It's my thermal.
So hang on, so you've just implicated yourself actually.
Yeah, that probably takes me on to the bit of kit that I probably need is my own thermal.
Is that the bit you're hankering after most?
I don't know.
I think the bit you're hankering after most might have something to do with the piece of post that you got yesterday.
Yeah, probably. Yesterday, I received a very welcome letter of my firearms renewal just a day earlier than it was going to sort of lapse, which was very welcome.
That's
And
good.
I have got on there a 270, which I'm very happy about because I'm now beating Harry on my amount of rifles.
No, we got the same number of centerfire rifles. Obviously,
Okay.
that do me.
Yeah.
He's got one more rimfire rifle than me.
Ugh.
And a bigger rifle.
You do have
Yeah.
a 270 now.
Okay.
But that's could bite you in the arse,
Well,
so
yeah.
to speak.
What is the 270 destined for?
For Scotland, I think we
Okay.
might have a few fellow down here with it, but I wouldn't want to see the sort of internals if it was a chest shot. But I think mainly for Scotland, and I'm looking to get more of a. At the moment, I only have sort of polymer stock, so I'm looking to get something a bit more traditional.
Timber rifle for Scotland.
Yes.
Proper traditional job.
Yeah, sort of traditional and sort of a nice rifle in the cabinet. I think.
What are your options then, Bob?
So
What are
options.
you looking at?
I know you've already got a Haim, so I was thinking maybe a Haim.
SR21.
Probably, yeah.
Your hive is beautiful.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, whenever you bring that out, I do look at it and think, "Whoa."
It is nice.
That
It was a
is-
nice rifle.
yeah.
It's very. It was really cheap. It was like 600 quid or something. Really good.
It's really
value.
accurate as well, isn't
It
it?
was very accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has got a very long barrel on it. That's the only
Mhm.
slight downside. But yeah, I think mine's an SR20, which are the older ones, but the SR21 is beautiful.
Mhm.
And you can pick them up for not very much money. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd go for one of those.
Or a sour,
Yeah,
Yeah.
100 or
Two-
101.
202 maybe. Well,
202. Oh, 202 would be nice. Yeah, okay.
so yeah.
Or
Or I don't know. Do I join the Kiplaugh Club?
Yeah.
oh,
Yes,
there we
Bobby.
go. Not with the 270. Really.
No, well, no.
Do you think?
So Paul Hill reckons the 270 is going to be the calibre of the future when we all transition over to copper. And I haven't actually read it, so this might be a complete dead end for us to go down. But I saw that the HSE report on lead has been published, and it does look as though lead is dead. So it does look as though the calibres that do well with copper are going to be the ones of the future, and apparently that is the likes of the 270.
That's good to know.
Well, it's got a lot of energy behind it, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So it's probably like the equivalent of a 308 or something, isn't it? When you actually put it onto copper.
So which other makes are you looking at then, Bobby?
I'm not really sure. I'm looking for some suggestions, really.
Okay.
Is this a listener first? We're giving the choice over to the listener. Are you happy with that, Bobby?
I'm happy with that. I think first time Bobby spits on, I think the listeners should get involved.
If
And
we-
sort of,
If we gave a vote over to the listener to
Yeah.
what rifle Bobby gets next.
Would you follow through? As in, if we do an Instagram or YouTube poll, and we let the public vote, and they, I don't know, let's say they all go, yeah, you've got to go for a Tika or a Seiko. Would you be like, okay, fine, the listeners have spoken?
I think so. Within reason, obviously, there's sort of.
I think maybe
Bit of
by the time the poll comes out, we'll have 3 options. We've got 2.
Okay.
But you can think of another one between
Yeah.
now and when it comes out, and then you've got at least 3 that you would like.
Yeah.
And then the listeners can choose.
Okay. Do we add in a wild card option, or do we?
Oh,
do we? Yeah.
We could add in a wild
Could be
card.
dangerous though.
Yeah.
Everyone could just.
Well, that I'm not aware about.
Yeah. What would a wild card be? Well, you want something traditional, don't you?
Yeah.
I think you get a 270 double rifle, could you?
I think because on Instagram, I know we could do a poll in terms of, I don't know, Sauer, Heim, let's say for argument's sake, Tika,
Yeah.
and then the 4th option could be other. Message us with what it is,
Okay, that's good.
and then see what people come back with.
Nice.
I don't think my price point will justify a double rifle, but
Okay.
You can get some quite cheap ones on auction.
can you?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can. You can Holtz,
Yeah.
sealed bid.
I keep seeing the odd like 3006 double rifle come up, and
Yeah.
keep thinking that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And actually, I think 270 is quite a good caliber to have on your ticket, and it's quite an easy one to find in second-hand gun shops, to be honest, because I think a lot of people buy them for Scotland but leave them in a cabinet and never use them. So I think it's a good option.
Yeah.
And
No.
you could always RFD one down from Scotland because there'd be lots in Scotland. It's a bit of a risk, but you could always do that.
Well, I feel like the only thing people ever complain about with a 270 is the amount of recoil, but actually with moderators now, that argument's kind of null and void, isn't it?
Yeah, with a decent mod on it, you'd be absolutely fine. With a nice, like a Frere and Devic, the titanium baffled one, the biggest that they do, that would really do the business.
Yeah,
But I've just got back from Scotland a couple of weeks ago, and I've seen a lot of deer shot with a 270, and it's quite an impressive thing.
I'm just looking on Gun Trader now. There are a lot of 270s on there.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming from someone who has a 2506, I'm very jealous because trying to find a 2506 is fucking impossible.
There's some lovely looking Mausers on here and Seikos.
So maybe
Mauser's a good
maybe
idea.
put that as a.
But do the Mauser, like the modern Mausers, do they have a timber stock? So I think most of them are.
I found a sort of
synthetic.
an older looking Mauser.
Okay.
For sale in Darlington, £700. I think it even comes with a scope. It looks beautiful.
Wow.
In fairness, I don't think it's screw cut, so you might have to invest a little bit in that. Or
You definitely want a moderator.
you do with a 270.
Definitely want to moderate. Yeah.
So what scope would you put on the top of it as well, Bobby?
I think gonna want a Vario Parascope.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what brand. Yeah.
So would you go a conventional scope, or would you go down the route we were discussing earlier of going for a day-night scope?
Well,
Actually for Scotland, you're going to go a normal scope.
yeah,
surely.
I was thinking about this, whether I sort of rearrange the scopes on all my rifles.
Yeah.
And I might get a get a day-night one for my other Tika.
I mean, actually, for Scotland, when I was up a couple of weeks ago, they had exactly the same scope that you've got on your 6.5 by 55,
Yeah.
which is, I think, an 8 by 56
Yeah.
Bender fixed power,
Yeah.
and that absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So I could put that on it, and then get a day-night for my sort of more regular rifle. But we can see we can get the rifle and maybe do another vote on scope if the budget still stretches that far.
And do you commit? Will you commit to being on YouTube?
I'll commit to be on YouTube.
The process, the buying, the testing, and maybe the first stalk.
Yeah.
We could do a little.
Right, yeah, I think people really got quite into Harry's journey with the Bagara, and I think they'd be keen to see. I think firstly they'd be keen to see Bobby.
Well, yeah.
Full stop.
They've heard the voice. They want to see the face now.
Exactly. And they're all very excited to hear the naked calendars coming out in 2025 as well.
Well,
Bobby's bits.
Yeah. Now that we've said it on the podcast, it has to happen.
Well, you said it before, and
And
I think it's for your enjoyment only, Tom.
you know me, Bobby. And I think they'd be quite keen to see your journey with your respective 270.
Well, yeah, I'm keen for it. I'm looking forward to it. It's my my Christmas shopping for myself.
And does that mean Scotland in 2025 on the cards?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be good fun.
Plan it in.
And
We
so-
were going to try and get a family trip up, weren't we? But that
Might
hasn't.
be a bit dangerous.
But yeah, no, definitely looking to go up.
And so what has been your worst bit of kit for 2024, Bobby,
Oh gosh.
that you're prepared to name and shame?
Gosh, worst bit of kit. I can't really think of a worst bit of kit. I'm not really sure.
You spend so much on your kit that it's so.
The problem
good.
is, I have a sort of saying of buy once, cry once. So I normally buy the sort of top of the range kit.
It's very sensible.
I'm not really sure. I haven't had any kit go wrong really.
You had any clangers? Tom, have you had any really real clangers this year?
I was trying to think. I have, and I'm trying to think what the real clangers have been. I mean, and I feel really bad because I've gone on about it on a previous episode. But the Napier auto lift winch,
You still use that?
I still use it. Every time I use it, I
Yeah.
hate it a little bit more inside. Only because it works as a ratcheting winch really, really well. But as soon as you then want to let something down, there is no control over the release mechanism. So if you've got a 26 kilo fallow day suspended, and you pull the handle down to lower it, the whole carcass just basically torpedoes itself into the floor and into the the pile of blood that you have created underneath, and it winds me up something chronic every time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's quite hard work, isn't it? It would be feasibly quite easy to have the same lifting mechanism as the lowering mechanism.
You would have thought so. So it's probably torn between that or the trigger cam, which the trigger cam I sold
That was
after
pretty
about
hopeless,
a
wasn't it?
month. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get on with it because it impeded your own view through the scope in terms of it made your own vision darker, and then the footage you got out of it, unless you were shooting during the day, it was just unusable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a cheap bit of kit. One of it was like 500-600 quid.
Blimey.
Yeah.
That's
So
a lot of money.
it's a lot of money. I think if you're doing target shooting, PRS shooting, or I don't know, you're going to Africa, great, and it'll probably be absolutely perfect. But for UK deer stalking, dawn or dusk, just no, don't even attempt it.
No, not worth it. There you go. Heard it here first.
Go on, Harry. Worst bit of kit.
I was just trying to think. I'm not sure I'm not sure I do have a worst bit of kit for this year.
That's a very politically correct answer.
Yeah, I know.
No kit you've stolen off me that you've wrecked?
You bought some stuff from Temu, didn't you?
I did buy some
Come on. Some of
bought-
that's got to be dog crap.
Well, okay, it's not the best quality stuff in the world, but for instance, I bought my little bullet pouch from my kit plough I bought off Temu. That was £1.80. It works fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's absolutely fine. I did buy a sledge inverted commas, like a dragging sledge for deer. That is basically
Was it just a bin bag?
a rolled up piece of A4 paper.
Yeah.
made of plastic.
I wonder
but
what that was.
I haven't had the heart to use it yet because I just think the flints are going to rip it into ribbons. So I'm not sure that was brilliant. But there's some good stuff on there actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we going to see some more kit reviews of stuff that you bought off Teemu?
I hope so. They need to start making some more hunting gear
Yeah.
because they make some quite generic hunting gear at the minute. They need to make some more sort of even like a bino harness or something.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Or some high seats.
Would you trust a high seat from Teemu?
What about a high
It's
tower?
made out of aluminium foil.
A high tower.
In the recent winds
Like a
we've
big-
had.
40 mile an hour
Like a big
wind
dough box.
straight over.
A sort of 10-foot dough
Yeah.
box.
What's been your best bit of kit then? From 2024?
The Bagara, I think.
Yeah?
Look, it's just
I think
brilliant.
that's fair enough.
It's
Yeah.
such good value. Smart, it brought me so much joy. I use it now more than I do my sour,
Yeah.
which, considering the different price points of those two bits of kit, is quite significant. And yeah, it's just a brilliant little go. I love it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be that. I think that's it.
Nice.
Can't think of anything else. I have to say I haven't been that kind of kit mad this year. I haven't bought anything ridiculous. Stalking Show was fairly cheap for me, I think. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to next year.
Mm.
Staffordshire Showground again.
Yeah. What, have you got your eye on a particular piece of kit, or you got some money burning a hole in your
No, I
pocket?
didn't think so. I've got to think about my next purchase is going to be a day-night scope, but then longer term, transport and vehicles is going to be my next thing.
Go on.
So I'm slightly torn between a quad bike
Mm.
or somehow improving my existing stalking truck. Because this time of year, access is very, very hard work using a car or a truck. So I think a quad might be on the cards.
I'm keen for a quad bike.
I bet you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steal it.
Leave the keys somewhere Bobby can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And day night scope, have you got a particular one in mind, or are you all
I
bets
do.
open?
The Hick Micro Alpex. I think it's called a 4K.
I've seen some really good footage on people's Instagram of them using it.
It's a crazily good
Yeah.
scope. It's got like 20-something pound zoom. It's got a rangefinder in the scope.
Yeah.
It's got the same ballistic, not the same, but it's got a ballistic calculator in it like a Swarovski DS.
Yeah.
So you can range find your target and then it will calculate your drop for you. And the only thing it doesn't have is its own IR torch built in, so you have to put an IR torch in it, but that's what I'm going to get, I think.
Interesting.
As
And
a
what
cutting
rifle?
tool.
What rifle are you going to put it on?
That's going on the sour. Yeah, that's going to be a culling.
So you will literally have no excuse for missing. 20 times mag and a ballistic calculator.
There's always the mounts, Tom.
There's always the
always the
mounts to
mounts.
come loose.
There
Yeah.
could always be the mounts.
But on your sour, because that's a 200-300 quid set of mounts as well, isn't it? So
They're not very good though.
Are they not?
They're not. No, I don't think they're great. There's
No.
like an aftermarket set of mounts for it. Can't remember what the name of it for the life of me is. But there's quite a lot that can work its way loose on those on those sour mounts.
Loctite. Loctite is your friend.
Yes, but when they're supposed to be removable.
Well, no, but not on the base, but like all the other individual screws, just Loctite the crap.
What about
out
when
of
you
them.
want to change the scape?
Oh, it's too late.
It's just on there forever.
New mount.
What if someone's lent you a scope?
Yeah, then you have a problem.
Then you have a problem.
Well, to be fair, the Loctite, because I only use the 243 blue stuff, and that comes off really easily.
All right.
Yeah, just a little bit of.
I think Harry.
You do that with
might
your
like
mod,
that.
so it doesn't rattle off.
You probably could do with your mod. It would just like slowly corrode the end of your barrel.
Corrode your barrel, yeah. Okay.
Well, actually, would it provide some protection? I don't know.
Actually, that's got to go on not on the worst bit of kit, but on kit failures of the year.
Yeah.
My Freya and Devic, which one is it? It's like a 2.8 something or other. The baffle broke on it.
Did it?
Yep. The like sheath for the baffles split.
So I've got to ask this question. Did you do something stupid with it?
No,
No.
didn't do anything stupid with it. Just shooting it.
Yeah.
Like normal.
Yeah.
I would clean it maybe once every couple of months. And I took it apart the other day, and it cracked. And I took it to Rupert, RJ Blackwall, and he had to Dremel it off.
What?
Yeah, I know. He did give me a new one, which
Yeah.
was very kind of him, but he said, clean it and grease it and all that sort of job. But yeah, they can crack, so you've got to be a little bit careful. I think they only make now a titanium baffle set for it, so you're kind of in the clear now if you buy one. But the older ones, they made an aluminium sheath for it, so you've got to be a bit careful.
Wow.
So that was a bit disappointing, but it was covered under warranty, so
Yeah.
can't really whinge too much. And it is otherwise a fantastic monoracer.
Sounds quite a kit list. A quad / modifications to your stalking vehicle.
I think a quad is probably a long-term goal.
So as modification to your existing truck, is that more likely?
Yes, I have already got some big tyres for it, big air tyres for it. But the problem is a truck or a car of any sort, they're just so heavy.
Yeah.
And this time of year it's so wet, like you just sink, and mud is just a nightmare. So
And you do have a tendency of crashing them.
excuse me, how rude! You crashed my last car as well.
No, I think that was you.
I'm going to say very quiet. I think sat around the table, I'm the most recent to have crashed their vehicle whilst out stalking. So
Yeah, Tom and I went out stalking last week, and I'm amazed that his car still runs.
So I'm gonna portion some of the blame to Harry in that we were in his new permission in the woodland. We'd shot 3 fallow.
Yeah.
3 fallow. Pitch black by this point, so we were like, right, let's go and find them. Get the car. I'm going down a track that I've only driven down once before, and
Tom does have a light bar, by the way, so it's
do.
literally brighter
Yeah.
than it would be in the middle of the day.
Yeah, we call it the sun. And yeah, okay, no excuses there. But I was going down this track and I was sort of expecting a little bit of guidance from Harry as to stay to the left of that tree, stay to the right of this tree, follow the track round, whatever. And I was just kind of merrily like following the track down, getting a bit cocky maybe, and built up some speed, headed towards what I thought was a clump of grass. And went straight over said clump of grass, which actually turned out to be quite a large tree stump. And Harry was like, "Oh yeah, mind the tree stump, by the way." As it went underneath the car, and we just heard. We then ended up head first into a tree. Remarkably, the car lives without
Not a scratch.
There was genuinely not a scratch on it.
It was amazing.
It's making some slightly odd noises now, but otherwise, touch wood, seems to be running well.
And speaking of vehicles, Tom, do you have anything on your kit list?
I do. So the bit of kit I will say has been my best bit of kit for 2024. Before I come on to 2025, has been the Kelly stability line. So I kind of alluded to earlier. I was having some problems with the Flex fifth leg. That basically I just find like you spend so long faffing around to get it level. And I went to see Paul Hill and he was like, "Sod that, you need this," which is it's basically a piece of webbing with like a big elastic band on the end of it, and you just use it. It's similarly to a fifth leg, but you use your foot to like anchor it to the ground, and that has absolutely transformed my shooting. And I mean, I think it's about 15 quid, and that hands down is my bit of kit for the year. It's not the most popular bit of kit because when we posted our video on it, a lot of people were like, "That looks like it's going to get tangled up on everything. Looks like it's going to get in the way. Looks like it's too complicated. Blah blah blah." And I will admit, if you left it like trailing along on the ground like a dog lead, like it would get tangled up on everything, and it would be a pain in the arse. But actually, if you loop it over the top of the sticks, it's really easy to use, and you get used to it. And I really like it.
Yeah, I have used the fifth leg, which I think you gave to me, Harry, didn't you? Because you didn't like the look of it, and yeah, I haven't been getting on with it either. It sort of sometimes dangles about, and then it hits the floor, and then yeah.
It makes your sticks a very convoluted and large thing to carry around with, I find. Like have 5 poles is just it's one too many.
I find it's getting the sticks like level with the fifth leg on, because you're kind of reliant on the fifth leg if you're using it on the front, like essentially digging it into the ground.
You dig it further back each time, and it's
and by the time you've like fannied around with that, like I don't know, the deer's
gone.
Deer's well gone.
Yeah.
So that's 2024.
Nice.
2025, I have admitted that it is time just to say goodbye to the beloved Tiguan. And
Even after its performance last weekend.
I think especially after its performance last weekend. I think
But that was driver error rather than the car.
that was
That car performed adamantly in the face of severe adversity.
So that car I bought second hand, and prior to me it was owned by someone in Fulham.
Yeah.
Who I think basically just they single-handedly destroyed the clutch, and that was all they did to it, and I think boshed it into a few lampposts. I feel like I've given it the best retirement it could have ever had. Like, it lived as
Or
like...
the worst.
No, I mean,
it's had a lot of hard work.
What car
Christ
wants to
alive. It was designed to go round Fulham, and you've taken it round half of bloody Buckinghamshire.
Yeah, it's had a lovely time. It's lived its best life. Out in the countryside, like... Up at all times in the morning, late at night.
Getting stuck in woods.
Getting stuck in stuff, rammed into trees.
mud.
That's what that car was built for.
Trees up underneath it.
Yeah.
Stumps scraping its insides out.
It's got that roof rack on it.
Yeah.
Whole thing.
The Growlicking system.
Hydraulic system.
So I think it is time to retire the Tiguan, and I've admitted it's probably about time to just buy a pickup. What's kind of done it has been the number of ticks and keds I found on me, like on, I don't know, a Monday morning you're going to work, and you're like, what's that on the back of my neck? And you're like, oh, it's a bloody ked. And it just, I can't do it anymore.
Oh, nice. No.
No.
So you want a separate
I want a separate compartment where the keds can live,
Yeah.
and they can breed to their heart's content in there. So long as they're not in the same bit of the car as me, I don't care.
Nice. So just get on your dog.
Well, I mean, she's got quite used to riding shotgun with me.
Oh, she'll be in the front seat.
Well,
Even in your pickup.
I feel like a change has got to come to that as well.
Wow.
Because
She'll have the ticks on her as well.
Yeah, she will.
because we give her I can't remember what it is, a tablet every couple of months, and that seems to just like repel all insects. And I have considered taking one myself to see if that would do the same, but my wife, who works in the medical industry, has confirmed that probably wouldn't be a good idea. So yeah.
Any particular makes, models?
Well,
We're not that far.
I would be interested to hear again from the listeners, so please do let me know. But I think I wanted to go for Toyota Hilux, but, and I mean, this is probably going to get our podcast struck off the air forever.
Mm-hmm.
There is apparently such a thing as the Taliban tax on a Toyota Hilux, which is because they are so reliable and the Taliban use them to such a high degree and have proved that they are so rugged and reliable, they are about 25% more expensive than any equivalent pickup.
Mm-hmm.
So I think value for money kind of goes out the window there. I've been told the Nissan Navaras struggle with chassis rusting through.
Yeah.
So I've kind of discarded those. So it basically between an Isuzu and a Mitsubishi L200.
I'm glad you didn't say a Ford Ranger.
Well, yeah. So I've been told that I've had some friends who've had the Ford Ranger and the VW Amarok. And friends who've had the Amarok have suffered with it basically having like computer malfunctions. And one friend in particular had it constantly where the car thought there was a fault and it limited you to 25 miles an hour all the time until you got it to a garage. They'd reset it and then you'd get back to normal, which
it's quite boring.
I feel like that would get quite tedious if you were... Well, in his case, he was driving back from Devon one evening and the car was just like, right, we've got a fault, so we'll be going at 25 miles an hour for the next 4.5 hours. And he was like, brilliant. And then the Ford Ranger, I've heard a few people have had some AdBlue issues.
I've heard
really?
issues.
Oh, AdBlue, yeah.
I've had some friends with some issues with Ford Rangers with engines blowing up mainly.
So I
feel like this might galvanise our listeners. People feel very strongly about brands.
They do.
So you might get some interesting advice.
Yeah.
Please write in.
Please,
genuinely,
please do. We are pleading to you
thoughts.
now. We need
Should we
to
do
know.
a poll?
Yeah, I think we should do a poll.
Yeah, okay, poll.
Will you stick to your poll if I stick to
I
my
will.
poll?
I absolutely because I know nothing. Well, I know nothing when it comes to pickups. I will be led by the listeners, all 5 of them.
And any other suggestions for other ones we haven't talked about?
Yeah, well, a client of mine who works swears by the not the Great Wall Steed, the
SsangYong?
That's it.
SsangYong.
I'm not sure about the SsangYong.
What, purely because of its name?
There's a reason they're very, very cheap.
Yeah. I think that's his mentality though. He's like, go out, buy one for 20 grand, run it into the ground, next.
It's an easy way to lose 20 grand.
Yeah.
They are a bit odd. Yeah, they're a bit odd looking as well.
They are quite
Yeah.
strange. You can't really find many of them either. There we are. Well, I think that sort of rounds up our Christmas special episode.
I think so.
But yeah, like we said, please do give us some feedback on what you want to see in 2025. We have got some podcast guests ideas, and we've got, I think, some episodes lined up for you. So plenty more exciting things to come, and we hope you all have a lovely new year.
Yeah. I think just a special thank you for all of you that have subscribed, followed, and made the Deercast what it is. And
Absolutely.
keep your eyes peeled for the Bobby's Bits calendar. 2025, here we come.
And thank you, Bobby.
Well, no, thank you very much for having me. If people don't want to see me again, let them know. But yeah, I'm excited for this journey with my 270. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I'm going to get the poll going now.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the calendar, but you can put in another poll.
I can say we'll put a poll on. If they say go for it, it's got to happen.
Too many.
Oh dear.
All right.